It's the middle of the night, somewhere along the Danube frontier, sometime in the 170s. A man sits in a military tent, by candlelight, writing to no one. He didn't want this job. He never asked to rule an empire. But here he is, exhausted, alone, giving himself instructions before sunrise. His name was Marcus Aurelius. The notebook he filled that night would later be called Meditations. He didn't write it for you. He didn't write it for anyone. It was never meant to be read by another human being, and for centuries after his death, almost nobody did. That single fact changes how you should read the whole book. If it had been written for an audience, it would be polished, persuasive, quotable, structured like an argument. Instead, it's repetitive, fragmented, sometimes contradictory, occasionally boring. It wasn't a book. It was a tool a tired man used to manage his own mind while holding more power than almost anyone alive in his century. With no one to check that power except himself. Remember who this man actually was before the crown. Marcus was pulled from a quiet life of philosophy as a teenager, groomed for decades to rule, and then handed an empire during plague, famine, and a war on the northern frontier that never seemed to end. He didn't retreat to a library to write this. He wrote it between battles, grieving children he had already buried, unable to sleep most nights. Here's what most people get wrong about Meditations. They read it hunting for inspirational quotes, a tidy list of 5 life lessons to screenshot and forget. But the entries aren't lessons written for you. They're instructions Marcus wrote to himself, usually minutes before he actually needed them. Look at how Book 2 actually opens. Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. He wrote that before walking out of his tent. Not after a bad day. Before one had even started. This single detail changes the whole practice. Marcus wasn't venting about people who had already wronged him. He was rehearsing them in advance, imagining the difficult colleague, the disloyal ally, the frustrating delay, before any of it actually happened. He was scripting his own reaction ahead of time, so the real irritation had nowhere new to land. Compare that to how you actually handle hard moments. The message arrives. Your stomach drops. You react badly, in the moment, and only later do you sit down and think, here's what I should have said. You process backwards, after the damage is already done. Marcus processed forwards, before there was any damage left to undo. He assumed, as a plain fact of the day, that he would meet in gratitude before lunch. Not maybe. Today, guaranteed. So instead of being ambushed by it, he met it already rehearsed, already decided. The feeling didn't vanish. The surprise did. And surprise, not difficulty itself, is usually what actually breaks people. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, and where most summaries stop too early. This wasn't a one-time pep talk before a big meeting. Marcus did this every single day, for years, while commanding armies on a frontier that had already cost him most of his own children, surviving a coup attempt from a trusted general, and holding an empire together at its cracking edges. The practice didn't work because he eventually found peace and stopped needing it. It worked because he kept doing it anyway, exhausted, with no guarantee any of it would help at all. That's the part modern self-help quietly borrows from Stoicism and then drops. This isn't visualized success and you'll feel motivated. It's closer to the opposite. You picture friction, specifically by name, before it arrives, so your first reaction is the prepared one, not the raw, unfiltered one that costs you later. So ask yourself the actual question, not the vague one. Who are you going to deal with today? Name them specifically. The colleague who talks over you in every single meeting. The relative who brings up the same old argument at every dinner. The one message sitting in your inbox that will ruin your morning if you let it catch you off guard. You already know who it is. You knew before you even opened your eyes this morning. Marcus wrote his answer down the night before, by candlelight, in a tent he didn't want to be in. Running an empire he never asked to inherit. You don't need a war camp on the Danube frontier. You need about 30 seconds before you check your phone. Decide today, in advance, exactly how you will respond to the person or the moment you already know is coming. Not after it happens, when the reaction has already escaped you and cost you something. Before it does, while you still have a choice in the matter. This is the difference between a life spent recovering from your reactions and a life spent choosing them ahead of time. Marcus never mastered his temper completely, not even close. He just stopped being surprised by it, entry after entry, night after night. If this shifted something in how you see your own mornings, subscribe. Dead Authors, Live Lessons brings you one real, usable insight like this every week. Drawn from people who actually had to live by what they wrote, not just write about it.